everyone. Imagine you're walking through a peaceful forest, surrounded by lush green trees and the soothing sounds of nature. That's the scene we are going to paint together in our today's tutorial. It's going to be a relaxed and fun painting session. So grab your art supplies and let's get started. I've got all the materials listed down below. I'm using a sketchbook here which has 160 GSM paper. I've already done a very light sketch. So the first thing we are going to do is the sky. In my reference picture, the sky has a slight greyish tone. So I'm taking white, black and slight primary blue, and I'm going to start mixing up the colors using round brush, and I'm just filling in that area where the sky is. Just use gentle strokes, and we don't need to have a nice smooth even sky as it's going to be the background and we will cover it up with trees later. Now I'm going to take some yellow and green color and fill up the lower portion of the background. You can leave the spaces for the trees. And I'm slowly going to blend it with the rest of the sky. Then I move on to working on the bushes that are on the sides of the pathway. I'm just gonna make it a darker green for the first layer by mixing some black with the existing green here. So I just paint that base layer in, leaving the areas for the fence so that I don't lose the sketch underneath. While the first layer is drying down here, I move on to working on the pathway. For that, I'm taking ochre, yellow and little bit of white, and I just start painting the middle part of the trail. For the distant areas, use a lighter color to create the illusion of depth, and as the path gets closer to us, switch to a darker shade to add contrast and bring it forward. This technique will help create a sense of perspective and make our painting more dynamic. So as I move downwards, I'll use a darker shade and try to blend the colors smoothly. Also, I'm gonna paint the edges of the path a little darker where the shadows are supposed to be. Next, we move on to painting the tree trunks. For the trees, I'm using the same color. This is going to be our base layer and we'll add more layers on this later. We'll make the color a little darker using burnt sienna, a little bit of black and white. We're gonna add some background trees here. For distant trees, use lighter shades and softer edges to create a sense of depth and distance. And as you paint trees closer to the foreground, use darker shades and sharper edges to make them appear closer and more detailed. In our painting, the light source is from the right side, so all the tree trunks will be darker on the left side. Now I'm adding some highlights over here using yellow color to make the bushes really shine where the sunlight hits. Next, I'll be using some grass green color and mix some brown color with it to paint the foliage with a dabbing motion. Use different shapes and sizes of the leaves for a realistic effect. For the distant leaves in the background, use a lighter shade of green to imply distance. Use soft and gentle strokes. Now I will be adding some details to the tree trunks by using a fine tipped brush and a darker shade of brown paint that I used for the initial base color to outline the contours of the bark. As you work, pay attention to light and shadow. The areas facing towards the light source will be lighter, while those in shadow will be darker. Add irregular lines, knots and grooves to mimic the unique patterns found in real tree bark. Now let's add more layers to the bushes to give them depth and dimension. Use short overlapping strokes to build up the texture and volume of the foliage. Focus on areas where shadows would naturally fall, like towards the base of the bushes. You can vary the intensity of the strokes to create a sense of depth and contrast within the foliage. These additional layers will add richness and complexity to the bushes, making them appear lush and full-bodied. Next, I'm going to complete the fences. For this, use a darker shade of brown to add shadows and definition to the wooden planks. Paint thin lines along the edges of the planks and underneath them to create depth. I'm using a lighter shade to fill in the body of the fence. Add shadows along the bottom edges of the fence. For the pathway, use a small round brush and a mix of earth yellow and brown paint to add texture and details to the ground, such as pebbles or fallen leaves, to enhance realism. I'm almost finished with the painting now, just adding some final touches to really polish off our painting. Take a step back and look for any areas that could use a little extra detail or refinement. Perhaps you want to add some highlights to certain leaves or deepen the shadows along the pathway. Don't forget to blend any harsh edges and make sure everything flows together seamlessly. Take your time with these finishing touches. It's the little details that really make a painting shine. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this tutorial, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more painting tips and inspiration. Until next time, happy painting, take care and see you in the next video.